Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams. Good to be back with you here on Boxing on the Beltway, now news and notes. And been away for a few weeks because of a myriad of things. Number one, not a whole lot of news has come down the pike in the last few weeks, but we just got some now we can bring along to you. Plus, we got a preview of our next broadcast. Will be on Saturday, December 10th. The Ponytail Promotions and Show Enough Promotions card at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. We'll bring that to you live coming up on Saturday, December 10th. And we also have some other news we want to pass along to you. So we do have some news. And the other reason, because, again, real life has kind of gotten in the way as far as a lot of things just going on in my personal life. Again, nothing big, but just busy. Busy with real job, and my second real job, which my announcing has kicked in again. So public address announcing. So a lot of things have been going on, but we have some good news for you. And Boxing on the Beltway news and notes brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, from shoulder pain to muscle strain and everything in between, Boxing on the Beltway recommends Real Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And don't forget, if you go on to www.freepainoffer.com and you buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. So, lots going on, as we said, last couple weeks, in and out of the Beltway. And we do have some things that are outside the Beltway. Some are good, some are not so good. But we're going to talk about that as well. But the main story, again, of course, is the upcoming card at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. And the main event should be a good one. I'm looking forward to this one. Undefeated, multi-division world champion Tori Show Enough Nelson. She'll try for yet another world title. She has won titles in three weight divisions, should say welterweight, super welterweight, and middleweight division. She's won at least, I think the last count was 10 world titles. And of course, world titles in this case, a little different than the men's side. The UBF, the WIBA, she did win a WBC world title, but other federations that are closer to the women's game are recognized as world champions, and she's won a number of those. And she'll take on another undefeated boxer by the name of Alicia, the Empress Napoleon. She is from Lindenhurst, New York. And it'll be a 10-round battle. It'll be for the vacant UBF and WIBA super middleweight titles. Now, this is, again, a step up for Nelson as far as weight's concerned. This would be her first title in this weight class. And she's a two-time Beltway Boxer of the Year. Only one other boxer has earned the Beltway Boxer of the Year title twice, and that's Lamont Peterson. Tori Nelson won it in back-to-back years, as a matter of fact. And she'll be participating in her 13th world title bout in her 18 pro fights. She's 15-0-3, 1 KO. Of course, that 1 KO was a very heralded one against Mia St. John. But she'll be in her 13th world title bout, and she competes for the first time in a little over a year. Actually, it has been over a year since she won a 10-round unanimous decision over Keita Watkins for the vacant UBF middleweight title. That was in June of 2015 at Martins West in Woodlawn, Maryland. Napoleon is 7-0, but she has 5 KOs to her credit. Now, she hasn't fought the competition that Tori Nelson has, but 5 KOs for a female boxer is pretty impressive. And she has won the WBC Silver Super Welterweight title, and is one of the 2 bouts she's had where she didn't have a knockout. She captured a 10-round unanimous decision over Sylvia Sabados. That was on January 29th in Queens, New York. Now, her last outing was also against Keita Watkins, and Napoleon won a 6-round unanimous decision over Watkins on July 22nd in Queens. Keita Watkins is a very tough boxer, and she's given Nelson, I believe she fought Jennifer Salinas as well, and it's very tough, no question about that. So that'll be on December 10th, Saturday, December 10th in Springfield, Virginia. Now, other bouts on the card, and I should tell you that this card has been in flux for quite some time, so things have changed almost on a daily basis. The matchmaker, Brian Dillon, just having a tough time holding cards together, but hopefully he's got it squared away. But he's got some good people on it, no question about it. A couple bouts that are set. Eric El Torito Hernandez, he's out of Leesburg, Virginia. He'll be in a 6-round lightweight contest against Roy Garcia of Alice, Texas. Hernandez 8-0, 5 KOs, stopped Arthur McCrow in the first round. His last outing, that was on the last Ponytail Promotions Shown Up Promotions card. That was on June 11th at the ABC Sports Complex. Garcia is 3-20-1 with 2 KOs, retiring to break a 9-bout losing streak. However, he seems to be a tough guy because he's gone the distance in 8 of those 9 losses. So we'll see what happens there. That's a 6-round lightweight contest. Eric Hernandez, El Torito from Leesburg, Virginia, takes on Roy Garcia of Alex, Texas. Another 6-rounder, and this is the first time this man is going 6 rounds in a young pro career. That's James Too Slick Early. He's the featherweight out of Seat Pleasant, Maryland. This one should be actually a very good bout. He'll take on Reggie Barnett Jr. of Chesapeake, Virginia in a 6-rounder. Early is 2-0. And he came off a 4-round unanimous decision over Taishe Ferguson on May 14th. You heard that bout on the Box on the Beltway Google app for Android from the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland. Barnett is 3-1, 2 KOs. He suffered his first loss in a 4-round unanimous decision to Gerald Tucker on the June 11th card we talked about in Springfield, Virginia. That card was also broadcast on the Box on the Beltway Google app for Android. And remember, you can hear all these cards archived on the Android app, on Spreaker.com, or on iHeartRadio.com. You can hear these cards archived on those mediums there. That should be a good bout. Reggie Barnett was very impressed with, even though he lost to Gerald Tucker. Early is that he is indeed too slick. He's a very slick boxer. Doesn't have a whole lot of power. So that could be a very interesting bout there. That's a 6-round bout there. Now, the young general Ian Green out of Paterson, New Jersey, he'll be in a 6-round bout. He was scheduled to take on Zane Tiger Shaw, but that bout fell through, and Shaw's replacement is now Kevin the Scarecrow Womack Jr. out of Baltimore. He's 7-13-3 with 5 KOs, but he's lost 8 straight, and he's last fought on October 14th in a 4-round unanimous decision loss to Hassan Young. That was in the 2300 arena in Philadelphia. Now, Green scored a 2nd-round TKO in his last bout against previously undefeated Kyrie Gray Pitts. That was on July 22nd at the Foxwoods in Mashantucket, Connecticut. But Green returns to the ABC Sports Complex for the 4th time. He scored knockouts in his previous 3 contests, and he has looked good. He starts a little slowly, but he comes in by the 3rd round. He is in control, and he starts breaking guys down and wins bouts. So that could be very interesting as well, especially Kevin Womack Jr., who can be tough at times, but takes a lot of bouts on short notice, and sometimes he pays for it. So we'll see. That's a 6-round bout as well. Ian Green against Kevin Womack Jr. In a 4-round bout, Kobe the Soldier Breedy, he is out of Clinton, Maryland by way of Barbados. He'll battle Nicholas Rodriguez of Somerset, Kentucky. Breedy is 7-0, 4 KOs. He won back-to-back 4-round unanimous decisions over Stefan McIntyre at the ABC Sports Complex both in April and in June of this year. McIntyre always a tough guy. Rodriguez is 1-4-1. He won his first pro contest in his last bout, capturing a 6-round majority decision over Ryan Ragland. That was on April 29th in Indianapolis, Indiana. And that could be an interesting bout. I like Kobe Breedy. This could be a little bit of a step, even though Rodriguez doesn't have the best record in the world. He has a better record than McIntyre only because he hasn't fought as much as McIntyre is. I don't know if he'll be as tough as Stefan McIntyre is as well. So that could be interesting also. In an all-DC welterweight contest, Matthew Abregu will take on Benjamin Wildcat Olinga. That'll be about scheduled 4 rounds. Abregu 3-0, 3 KOs. No, it's not the first time he's fought in this area. He did fight on the June 11th card. He scored a 2nd-round TKO over Alan Beeman. Now, Olinga last fought on April 9th at the ABC Sports Complex. You heard that card here on the Box on Beltway Google app for Android. I believe that was a Jetta Promotions card. And he was stopped in the 6th round by Devontae Speed Rawls. Olinga will face, and that Olinga is a 1-12 boxer, but this will be the 13th time he has fought a Beltway boxer in his 14-bout career. The only non-Beltway boxer he fought was Rolando Shanea. Everybody else has been from the area. He's fought Yuri Polishchuk. I mean, you can just go down the list. He's fought a number of Beltway boxers. So those are some of the bouts on the card. Seth Billups is also scheduled to be on the card, as is Mac Allison IV. So that card will begin at 6:00 p.m. if you're heading to the ABC Sports Complex. If you can't make it there, we hope you can make it there, though. But if you can't make it there, we'll be on the air at 5:55. Juan Marshall and I will have the call of the Ponytail Promotions Show Enough Promotions card, featuring the bout for the WIBA and UBF Super Middleweight Championship, the vacant titles between Tori Nelson and Alicia Napoleon. And again, that's the Battle of the Undefeated. Should be very interesting indeed. Now, meanwhile, on December 10th, a number of boxers will be out of town, including two of our better ones. One of them is indeed Mike Yes Indeed Reed. He's out of Waldorf, Maryland, undefeated, super lightweight. He'll be in an 8-round bout against Sidney Siqueira of Sao Paulo, Brazil. That'll be at the CenturyLink Center in Omaha, Nebraska. It'll be on the undercard of Terrence Crawford's WBC and WBO super lightweight title defense against John Molina Jr. And of course, both Reed and Crawford are top-ranked boxers. By the way, happy birthday to Bob Arum, who turned 85 years old today. And he's celebrating his 50th year as a promoter, and I finally got a chance to meet him. He was the only major promoter I had never met. And on a card we had here in D.C. early this year, I finally had a chance to meet him and talk to him. My question was about Mike Reed, and he said Mike Reed was going to fly high. So we'll see what happens. Reed is 20-0, 12 KOs. Coming off a 6-round TKO over Aaron Herrera. Looked very good in that bout on October 14th in Philadelphia. And he makes his second trip to Omaha, where he scored a 6-round TKO the last time against Oscar Valenzuela back in November of 2014. Siqueira is 26-11-1 with 17 KOs, but he has not fought since losing a 10-round unanimous decision to undefeated Jose Benavidez, and that's almost a year to the day. It was on December 12th of last year in Tucson, Arizona, and Siqueira will be trying to break a 3-bout losing streak. So that'll be on at the CenturyLink Center in Omaha, Nebraska on December the 10th. Meanwhile, at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Mark the Monster Johns, he's out of Fort Washington, Maryland, by way of Philadelphia, and he'll be in a featherweight bout against undefeated Leroy Davila of New Brunswick, New Jersey, in a 4-round contest, as we said, at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. Johns is 7-1-1, 6 KOs. I believe it's the first bout he's had in his native Philadelphia since he came down to the Beltway area to train. And he last fought on April 9th, stopped Alan Beeman in the 3rd round in Springfield, Virginia. Davila is 4-0, 2 KOs. He was a member of the USA National Amateur Boxing Team in 2014. And he is coming off a 4-round unanimous decision over Damon Simon on November 11th at the 2300 Arena. So he's got some of the home ring advantage. Again, Mark Johns originally from Philadelphia, so you know he's got some family there. And we'll see what happens there. So we'll be following that as well as we are at the 2300 at the ABC Sports Complex. We'll be following what goes on at the CenturyLink Center as well as the 2300 Arena. Also, we have a number of amateurs at the Youth and Elite National Champions in the Junior Open, which was being held in Kansas City, Missouri, at the KCI Expo Center. A number of our Beltway amateurs are involved in that this week. We hope we should get the finals for that this weekend. 2 of the boxers have done very well thus far. Actually, 3 of them have done very well thus far. That's Derek Scooter Davis out of Washington, D.C. Also, Lorenzo Simpson, the multi-time Silver Glove national champion. He's doing well thus far in his bracket. Stacy Selby out of Washington, D.C. doing well. Coming up later this week, Amelia Moore, the young lady out of Maryland, she will be participating. And so a lot of people are doing well thus far at the USA National Elite and Youth Championships and the Junior Open is what it's called. And we'll give you the results of that. We're following that on the blog, so we'll give you the results on that by the end of this week. Now, a couple of stories throughout the Beltway and outside the Beltway as well. First of all, inside the Beltway, many of you have heard Juan Marshall and I talk about a boxer by the name of Ronaldo Misunderstood Gaines, and been up and down as a boxer. Had some good nights, had some nights that weren't so good, but he was just starting to kind of turn his boxing career around. I believe he gotten back with the headbangers and was doing well. But he just received a diagnosis that was really tough. A non-small cell form of lung cancer is what he called it. And he's been hospitalized, and he is in financial assistance, need of financial assistance to pay for his medical bills. And Ronaldo out of DC, he has a GoFundMe account, which is www.gofundme.com / Nardo Misunderstood. That's NARDO Misunderstood. If you go to that, you can contribute to whatever you can to that. And if you need the link is on the blog as well. But we wish him well, of course. We send out our prayers to Gaines and his family, and we just wish that he will go ahead and beat this. No question about it. So once again, the site to donate, the GoFundMe site is gofundme.com / Nardo Nardo Misunderstood. NARDO Misunderstood. So we wish him well for that. Now, one other Beltway note I wanted to pass along real quickly. Good friend of mine, a good friend of boxing in this area, a guy by the name of Seamus McNally. Now, you think I know boxing? Well, nobody knows too much more boxing than Seamus McNally does. And Seamus, of course, gets it pretty honestly, because his father is Jim McNally, and Jim McNally is the coach of the U.S. Naval Academy boxing team, and for many years was an Olympic boxing judge. He was qualified, one of only two referees in our area, amateur referees that had qualified to referee and judge at Olympic competition. And I believe Coach McNally went to, I want to say, Beijing in 2000. I think he was there the year Gary Russell Jr. was there. He's retired from boxing. The other referee that can referee and judge Olympic competition is Brent Bovell. Now I think retired from that, and he's now devoting full time to the Naval Academy boxing team, which he's been a coach there for many years. But Seamus knows his stuff, no question about that. Now, Seamus, however, has another talent. And by the way, Seamus does write for stiffjab.com, my good buddy Gotham Nagesh's website. And he does write some great articles for them, has written some great articles for them already. But he has another talent, and he plays wheelchair basketball. And recently, he plays actually for his college team. He's a sophomore at Edinboro University, in Edinboro, Pennsylvania. He plays on their wheelchair basketball team. And just recently, he was invited, along with three of his teammates, to the under-23 wheelchair USA basketball team tryouts. So we wish him very well for that. He's only a sophomore, and I think two of them are sophomore, maybe one is a freshman, one is a senior, who have been invited. So it's a big honor for him. We wish him well, and hope he can make that team. No question about that. So Seamus McNally, who writes for stiffjab.com, you can read his articles there. He's a sophomore at Edinboro University of Pennsylvania. Fights for he plays wheelchair basketball for the Fighting Scots of Edinboro University, and he's been invited to the under-23 wheelchair USA basketball team tryout. So wish him well for that. Now, some sad news. Every now and then you'll meet boxers from outside the Beltway, and you like how they box in the ring, and sometimes you actually meet them and talk to them, and you expect them to be good people because they're boxers, and most boxers are good people anyway. But some really stick with you. Now I know one of the boxers I love to see, a couple boxers I love to see come into this area every time and box. Guys like Rolando Shanae, I talked about him earlier. Oshaki Foster is another guy I love coming into this area. Ian Green, we'll see him this Saturday. I love watching him. Stephon McIntyre doesn't have the greatest one-loss record, but he's a tough guy and always fights well in this area. And, of course, Tenel Goyko, who has beaten boxers in this area, coming into Baltimore and doing that. Well, another guy that I only saw once, and unfortunately won't be able to see him anymore because of what happened recently, was a boxer out of Chicago by the name of Ed Bad Boy Brown. Though you may have heard this, Brown was shot and killed about a week or so ago as we record this in his native Chicago. He was sitting in the park with his friend. I think it was a female friend, and someone came by and they just shot him. Shot them both. The girl survived. The young lady survived. And he had a brain injury, and then subsequently he passed away. Only 23 years old. And I had a chance to see Ed Brown fight at the Martins Valley Mansion in Cockeysville, Maryland. It was on the 2015 Jonathan Ogden benefit boxing card, evening ringside. And he knocked out Kevin Womack in the third round of that bout. Great bout back on November 12th of 2015. And I had a chance to meet him. His trainer remembered me. I think we go back to the Boxing Spotlight days. So he said he knew me from way back. I couldn't place him at first, but his name is George Hernandez. Once I heard his name, I was like, okay, I think I know who he might be. But, I got the chance to talk to Ed a little bit. Nice guy. Very nice guy. We had a nice conversation. Brown also made his pro debut against a Beltway boxer. He knocked out Dontre King out of Cambridge, Maryland in December of 2012 in Cicero, Illinois. But there were a lot of good press in the Midwest about Ed Brown. He was very talented, no question about it. He had a pro career 20-0, 16 KOs. Everybody has real, they really felt he had a chance to really go places in this business. And, just, I don't know if he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He'd been shot before. He'd had some previous issues, but everything seemed to be in the right place. Again, I don't, from what I've been reading about him, everything seemed to be in the right place. And to have this happen is just a shame. It really is. And you just wonder what is going on in our country. But I don't even want to get into politics and all that. That's another story for another time. But, just very sad to hear that about Ed Brown. Very nice young man and great talent. And just a shame. So prayers for George Hernandez, the trainer, and of course, Ed's family. And just a shame. No question about that. So let's end on a happier note. They just announced the 2017 class for the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And I got to say, this is one of the best classes that I can remember in a long time. I mean, there's some people on here who, one person in particular should have been on there a long time ago. I don't know why he wasn't on there a long time ago. But the other ones, I think three of the modern boxers, the three modern boxers all got there in the first year of eligibility. And two of the contributors are tremendous choices. Let's talk about the big people on here, the more well-known people. No question about it, Evander Holyfield needs to be on there immediately. Just immediately. This guy, one of the greatest heavyweights we've ever had, especially in the latter decades. Arguably still the greatest cruiserweight in the history of the business, especially after his great bout with the White Muhammad Qawi. He's still regarded as the greatest cruiserweight battle of all time. Of course, he was in the Olympics, got disqualified. But he had an amazing career and did everything that he could possibly do in the business. And he definitely deserves to be there. There's no question about it. He was a tremendous boxer. I had a chance to see him fight when he fought Asim Rahman at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. Of course, that's the famous I have a head on top of my head. And, a lot of people thought Holyfield was dirty. He was, butt heads, and that's what happened against Rahman. But he was as great as their king. And he was an amazing boxer. Wasn't the biggest heavyweight, wasn't the tallest heavyweight, but he just got the job done. He just got the job done. And I'm very privileged to say I've seen him box in person, and he definitely deserved to be there. So Evander Holyfield will be in the 2017 class, along with Marco Antonio Barrera. Oh, what a great boxer he was. Out of Mexico, of course, dominated in the featherweight division. The first time I saw Marco Antonio Barrera and really paid attention to him was the night that Mark Johnson won the world title, his first world title against Francisco Terradores. That was May of 1996. And Barrera headlined that card. It was at the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. And Barrera headlined that card against Jesse Benavides. And Barrera hit Benavides with one of the hardest body shots that I have ever seen to this day in my entire life. I mean, it was a great boxer. Of course, he was out of that form boxing in Los Angeles, so he was a big star there, and got a chance to see him in a couple of the pay-per-views. And of course, arguably his biggest bout was when he knocked out and basically stopped the career of Prince Nassim Ahmed. And what was interesting about that bout was, I had nothing personal against Ahmed at all. No, Ahmed he is in the Hall of Fame, I believe. Or he's in there. And I think he deserves to be there because he really elevated a part of the boxing game that had been lacking for a while, and that was the showmanship. He did that. And I have no problem with that. But was he a elite boxer? I think at times he was. When he knocked out Tom Johnson, for example, he was. But when he got knocked out by Marco Antonio Barrera, I think Ahmed knew that he couldn't go any further in this business. And he stopped. And he never fought again after that. And Barrera went on to a wonderful career. And he was, just a tremendous boxer to watch. So Marco Antonio Barrera is there. Johnny Tapia made it this year, of course, posthumously, unfortunately. If there is one boxer I could debate whether he belonged there on the first ballot, Johnny Tapia would be the one. Tapia, I thought, was a great boxer. I don't know if he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's debatable. Again, I think I take that from a personal angle, though, because he always avoided Mark Johnson. But he was one of the greatest boxers above 112 in the history of this business. He was a great boxer. Of course, his bout against Danny Romero, he was superb in that bout. I mean, he would not have made my first bout if I were voting. Let's say that. He would have been there eventually, but because he does deserve to be there. I have no problem with him being there. Being inducted. I think he deserved to be inducted. I'm not sure if he deserved it on the first ballot. Now, there's a difference there for me. Mark Johnson was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Evander Holyfield, Marco Antonio Barrera, first ballot Hall of Famers, and he deserved it. I don't know if Tapia deserved that elite status, but he was going to get there on the second ballot. I mean, if he wasn't there this year, he'd definitely been there next year, and I would have no problem with that. So, and I really don't have an overall problem with, major problem with this either. But that's just my personal belief. But having said that, though, he was a tremendous boxer, had one of the greatest hearts in the history of the business, and his issues notwithstanding outside the ring, he still managed to be a major contributor to the business. So those are the three modern era boxers that were inducted. In the contributors section, two of my favorite broadcasters, and one of them I've gotten to know on a personal level, which I'm so happy to see. And I actually emailed him when the information came out that he was inducted. And believe it or not, my connection to him, and I don't even know if I've ever told him this, my connection to this man starts with wrestling, believe it or not. Steve Farhood is being inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. And The first time I saw the name Steve Farhood was not in boxing. It was in wrestling. It was in wrestling when he wrote for The Wrestler in Inside Wrestling. And I don't even think he knows I know this. I don't know if he knows this. I think I may have put in the conversation one time. But he and Bill Apter, who I've gotten to know, wrote for the same publication at the same time. And it was so interesting because you wondered whether or not these folks were actually real, because they wrote this stuff and they did what we call kayfabe, which means they don't give any secrets about what's going on. They write it as it is actual news, but we don't know whether or not they're actually real people, so to speak. I've always wondered, for example, whether or not Matt Brock, who used to be on the road and report from different venues around the country, whether he was a real person. Well, it turns out he was. There was a writer for The Wrestler and Inside Wrestling who wrote in support of the bad guys. His name was Dan Shockett. And I always wondered whether or not Dan Shockett was a real person or somebody's pen name. Well, it turned out he was a real person. And unfortunately, he died very young. He died around 35, 36 years old. But Bill Apter swears that he was a real person. Well, I always used to wonder about Bill Apter until I met him one night at a boxing show. Well, the only reason why I knew he was real because he also wrote for the Ring magazine, KO magazine back in those days. And I think Steve Farhood did the same. But Farhood has become one of the most respected broadcasters in boxing in a long time. He does work. He does the Showbox show with Barry Tompkins. We'll talk about him in a second. But Steve Farhood is a first-class person. He's not afraid. He's not one of those guys that feels he knows it all. When when a local boxer comes into on Showbox and he doesn't know much about him, he'll contact me and say, "What do you know about so and so?" And that's wonderful. That means you're not afraid to ask someone who is not where you are for any help. In other words, I'm not in his level as far as broadcasting this business, but he will reach back and say, "Well, what do you know about this guy? And what can you tell him about this guy?" And I've seen him in a couple bouts, a couple cards here in the DC area, and just a very nice guy. And he has been with Showbox since the very, very beginning. Since the beginning, he worked with the late Nick Charles and Fran Charles, and now with Barry Tompkins. And there's no finer broadcaster in this business than Steve Farhood. Unless you want to add his broadcast partner, Barry Tompkins, who also was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame this week. Now, Barry Tompkins goes back years. He believe at one time he worked for HBO. I'm not sure, but he's one of the major broadcasters in boxing over the years, and he has been a great person. Some people don't like him. I love him. I've always loved Barry Tompkins. I think he's done some of the forum shows out in Los Angeles as well at one point, and the two of them together, one of the best broadcast teams in the business. And when you add people like Raul Marquez, who's done an outstanding job, and other folks that have worked for Showtime over the years, they do great They do great work, and they're really fun to listen to. They know the business, they know the boxers, and the fact that they're going in there together is going to be kind of cool. Next time Showbox comes on the air, you'll see both of them on the broadcast, and both of them are going to the Hall of Fame next summer. So that is wonderful. So Vander Holyfield, Marco Antonio Barrera, Johnny Tapia, Steve Farhood, Barry Tompkins, and one other. And this is the oversight. Now, about 3 years ago, Jimmy Lennon Jr. went into the Hall of Fame. And, of course, one of the premier ring announcers ever in this business. It's great to see both Michael Buffer and Jimmy Lennon Jr. in the Hall of Fame. So they both deserve to be there. They are the marquee ring announcers in this business. But one of the first marquee ring announcers, not only in boxing, but in wrestling, on television, in movies, all over, anything involving sport of boxing, was Jimmy Lennon's father, Jimmy Lennon Sr. Now, if you look at Jimmy Lennon and the way Jimmy Lennon Jr. and the way he gives his presentation as a ring announcer, and then you watch his father, it's almost exactly the same. The cadence, the way it's done, what Jimmy Jr. does with his hands, it's almost exactly what his father did. Now, his father not only, again, was a great ring announcer in real life, but he also was involved in a number of movies. I believe he was in Rocky 1, possibly Rocky 2. I'm not sure, but I know he was in Rocky 1. He's in a 2-part episode of Mission Impossible in which Greg Morris takes on the role of a boxer. And I think it's called Contender. It's the episode, I believe, is called A Contender. It's a 2-part episode that also features Sugar Ray Robinson in an acting role. And Jimmy Lennon Jr. is the ring announcer for the boxer that Greg Morris, who plays Barney Collier on Mission Impossible, is trying to imitate. And when you watch Jimmy Sr. in the ring, and you see Jimmy Jr. in the ring today, you know where he got it from. It's almost complete cadence for cadence, word for word in what he says. The hand gestures are the same. It is unbelievable sometimes. But Jimmy Lennon Sr. was a fantastic ring announcer, one of the first real marquee ring announcers of the television era, especially. And he was phenomenal. No question about that. So he is finally in the Hall of Fame. And I know Jimmy Jr. in his induction speech kind of campaigned for that quietly, but it's so glad to see that it finally came to fruition. So hopefully I'll be able to go to the Hall of Fame. I've never been, believe it or not, I have never been to the Boxing Hall of Fame. I definitely want to go. And hopefully this may be the summer to do. One of the reasons why I haven't been able to go is that I'm still in school. I'm still teaching during that time frame. So for me to get up to Canastota and get back on Monday to teach school was kind of tough. So I haven't been able to do it because of the time frame of the Hall of Fame ceremonies. But I definitely want to do it. And when I talked to Steve about it, he said, yeah, you had to go there at least once. That's what he said. So hopefully I can do that this year. And I want to see Mark Johnson's plaque on the wall, man. I definitely want to see that. So congratulations to them. There's some I left out, but those are the people that really touched me as far as the boxing fan is concerned. And I really wanted to honor them today in the podcast because they were outstanding people. So that will do it here for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Don't forget, coming up later this month into next month, into January, Juan Marshall and I will have our 2016 year-end awards. And this is going to be a tough year. And I've said this before because we didn't have as much going on this year as we had in 2015. So some of the choices are going to be tough this year. The most of the choices involving people, Rookie of the Year, Boxer of the Year, are pretty standard. They're pretty straightforward. We pretty much know who's going to win those. Prospect of the Year is going to be interesting. That could be a multi-boxer tie there. The other ones, Knockout of the Year, Bout of the Year, those in Card of the Year, those are going to be tough this year as well because Card of the Year we didn't have a whole lot to choose from. Knockout of the Year we had a good batch as well as Bout of the Year. So we're still thinking about that. So bouts that are taking place December 10th, if they're good enough, who knows? They might be there. So we'll see what happens there. But that'll be coming up probably early part of January. We'll get that out to you all through the blog, Boxing on the Beltway, and we'll talk about it here on the card. But this will be our last pro card of 2016. Our first pro card of 2017 is scheduled to be sometime in mid-January, like January 13th from Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. We have not been for a pro show in quite some time. So So that'll be fun as well. But we'll have those out. Juan and I are working on those. We'll be working on those for the next couple of weeks, and we'll get them out to you around the first of the year. So we'll see what happens there. But don't forget to join us Saturday, December 10th for the Ponytail Promotions and Showing Up Promotions card from the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. We'll be on the air at 5:55 Eastern Time, p.m. From the ABC Sports Complex. If you can't be there, make sure you join us on the Boxed On Beltway Google app for Android. Beltway Boxing News and Notes brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, and everything between, Boxing Law on the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. And don't forget to go to www.freepainoffer.com. If you buy your first $10 tube, $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for joining us. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening and take care.